Happy World Card Making Day. This is Carol Moncrief. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from South Florida, and I'm here to show you how to make this Joy Fold card today. This is one of my favorite folds. It's really two cards in one. You open the one and then the second one, and your sentiment goes here. This uses a few different components. One of the things that we're using is the Moroccan Designer Series paper. Now, this paper is very bold in color, and until I presented this card in August, most people attending our class did not particularly like this card because it was just too busy. It's printed on two sides. So you may be wondering, well, why am I only showing this one sheet? It's because it's become so popular when I presented this card that this is all I have left. So, what are we going to use? Well, there's several things. First, we're going to use our sentiment, the congratulations, which is from the Flourishing Phrases 2-set stamp set. And this is box 2 of 2, and we're using the congratulations portion. We're also going to use the dies for this set. There's one missing here, but I will show you more about that later as I give you a tip about how to use the dies. For this card today, we're going to flip this Designer Series paper over, and we're going to make this side. It's a little bit more subtle, but beautiful all the same. The card base is in Whisper White, and it measures 8.5 by 4 1/4, and it's scored at 3. And one of the things I think that's significant about using just plain white paper is that it makes the use of something with a lot of print and a lot of color a little easier on the eyes. I also have a piece of the stamp layer of Whisper White. It is 3 1/4 by 8.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. And then we have the Designer Series paper, the Moroccan, and it is 4 1/4 by 5.5. So let's get started. Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention, I'm using an embossing folder. This is the Floral Affections embossing folders. There's 2. And we're going to use the one with the vines. The second one is a gorgeous flower as well. But this one I think is going to work best for this card. So, one of the very first things I recommend is that you emboss this piece of cardstock. This is the base. And on the side, the short side, is where I place the embossing folder so that it's centered. And I run it through my Big Shot with tab 2 open, and this is how it turns out. I like the embossed side better than the debossed side, so I'm going to fold it along that score line and score it there. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp our layer. Now the interesting part about this is because this card opens, as I showed you before, from left to right, we're going to stamp the left side. And this time I'm using the Emerald Envy ink pad. Now, I had to learn to be very careful with this ink pad. My ink pads are fairly new and pretty juicy. That worked out very well. But you have to be careful not to get ink on the edge. So I'm going to stamp right here on the bottom. Okay, it turned out great. Now, what I prefer to do is to decorate this layer before I put it on the base. So, in that in the set of dies. This is the largest die, and I think we'll try using it for this particular card. It's good to stamp your sentiment first so you can place the die in such a way that it doesn't completely cover it. So I'm going to manipulate it a little bit, and I think I'll put it right there. I am using the fine tip glue pen to apply very delicately and as thin as possible of layers, applying the glue and then smearing it so that I don't get large clumps of glue showing through once I apply this piece onto the stamped layer. I'm going to have to use my fingers because I just trust my fingers a little bit more for placing. Tap it a little in place. And I like to use the end of my tweezers sometimes just to press it down in place. So that gives good coverage. It's one piece, but it's a large piece. It gives good coverage. And remember, this part is going to be in the center of our card. So even if I had gone over the edge a little bit, it would have been okay. It would not have been the edge of the card. So I'm going to put this aside, let it dry a little bit. Come on. And bring back our base with the Moroccan Designer Series layer. And this is going to be glued on this base layer. And I'm using Tombow glue for this. So just putting a little on the edges, not too close to the edge, but close enough that it won't ooze out. I usually smear a little in the corners because I don't want the corners to rise. And this piece goes out to the edge of the cardstock, of the base. So I'll try to pick it up here and get it even. Okay, there we have our base. Now, bring in the stamped layer. I'm going to fold it face down and score it. Now this piece needs to overlap with the base. So you want it right about here. You don't want it over too far, but you want it out a little bit. The edge of the base still shows. In some cases, people will put it center, but I like to put it just a little bit to the edge. And this is the area where you can write your message. So you may find that the dimensions I have are a little bit larger because I prefer allowing the writing area to be a little larger than some dimensions for the Joyfold provide. Okay, so I'll get the corners and the edges, and then we'll fold this in the center, a little off the edge. I'm going to just slide it past that print on the right, so it's a full print. And there we have it. That is our Joyfold card. And you'll see here on the right where the embossed portion shows through. Okay. Now one of the things I wanted to mention is that the dies for this set are very detailed. Here is one small die from the Flourishing Phrases die set. And it's a leaf, and you can see the detail in it. One of the things I noticed about this is there are some pieces, particularly of this leaf, I think there's one piece where there aren't these little, as we call them in Florida, hanging chads. But anyway, you can use the tool to poke these through to get these extra pieces out that are supposed to be removed. But when it comes to pushing out the die itself, the brush doesn't really get into it. So if you don't have one of these, you can use a toothpick. But you need to push through these small holes to release the die cut. And to be honest with you, I'm very fortunate that my Big Shot, I can run it through once and then back, and I'm in pretty good shape. But to get this out, if you push it through and these other holes are not out, you just push it through along the side. That is the easiest way to get it to release. They are pretty easy to get out of the die, but it does require poking through those little holes. At least that's been my experience. So I want to thank you. This is my card, the Joy Fold, using the Flourishing Phrases die set and stamp set, and the Moroccan Designer Series paper. Thank you again, and happy World Card Making Day.